But I got to ask you something, Jacques. You went to WWE when?
I went to WWF in 86, 1986.
With your brother the first time, or
Yeah,
no?
the Rougeau brothers. Yeah.
And you became the Mounties.
That not now, and let me give you a little rundown of how it worked. In 1986, we went as the Rougeau brothers, and then 2 years later, in '88, Vince McMahon came up with the idea of making us become the fabulous Rougeau brothers with Jimmy Hart as our manager. And so we did another 2 years. So as of that, so we were 4 years as the Rougeau brothers and the fabulous Rougeau brothers. And the funniest thing about that, Dutch, is the first 2 years we were there, I remember wrestling the Hart Foundation that had Jimmy Hart as their manager, because the Hart Foundation were heels and we were baby faces. And then they switched us heels with the little American flags there. We're all American boys. And they switched the Hart's baby face, and we wrestled another 2 years again with them around the world as Jimmy Hart became our manager. So after those 4 years, I took a year break and then came back as the Mountie. And then I begged Vince McMahon to have Jimmy Hart as my manager again, one of the greatest managers of all time.
He is. He is.
And if I can open up a little parenthesis there for a second, I want to say why Jimmy Hart is the best, because I think it's important that people know that, they understand that, because a lot of people say, well, of course, Jacques, you're going to say Jimmy Hart is the best manager. He was yours half of the time. That's not the reason why I'm saying it. There's all kind of managers that came to the WWF and WWE, and every time in my whole career, even when I was younger in the business, every time a manager would come on the microphone, he'd say, let me tell you something. I got the brains to put this together. I got the money. I'm the smart one. And Jimmy Hart was the only one who, every time he had the microphone in his hand, he'd always say, let me tell you something about my man. Let me tell you something about my man. He always made his characters the reason why he's succeeding. He's having success. He would never take the blame because he was the man that was managing or brilliant or this or the. You understand what I'm saying, Dutch?
Oh, yeah.
And for a talent, it's so amazing to have a manager that making you always look so smart and so good when he's the brain. And, it's so funny because he made our songs. We don't like heavy metal. We don't like rock and roll. All we like to listen to is Barry Manilow. Hey, we're all American. That was fun. And that was Jimmy Hart. And then when I became the Mountie, it was, I'm the Mountie. I've had my brave. It was all Jimmy Hart. But he was always going on everywhere and saying how my man is the reason.
You first met Jimmy in Memphis?
Yeah, with you. I think you were there with the time and then he was with Jerry Lawler at the time, and I'm trying to think. Lance Russell was the commentator. It was good times there. Really.
I enjoyed Memphis. I really enjoyed Memphis.
I learned a lot there, and all those little territories, that we did at the beginning there, even Kansas City with Bob Geigel and Pat O'Connor and Bob Brown and all, and then with the Fullers, in Knoxville, and then going to Pensacola with Joe LeDuc, my big rivalry. And
they were all fun.
It was fun. We had even the crazy Dick Slater that was, going up with his Trans Am, throwing M80s out the window, trying to blow us up on the highway after the show.
Did you work the Tampa territory?
Yes, I did, for the Grahams and the Briscoes. Yes, I did.
Oh, that was a great time too.